The steps to solve using the square root method are 1. Isolate the variable or quantity that is being squared. 2. Take the square root of both sides. Remember to add plus or minus to the constant side. Step 3. Split into 2 equations. And step 4. Solve each equation independently. In our first example, notice that x squared is already by itself, so we can take the square root of both sides. When we do that, the square root of x squared is x. And then the square root of 9 is 3, but we need to remember to add plus or minus. And we have two answers. X is 3 and x is negative 3. In this example, notice that the squared quantity is not by itself. The first thing we need to do is isolate that quantity. We can do that by adding 1 to both sides of the equation. We now have 2x minus 3 squared equals 9. Now that we have isolated that squared quantity, we can take the square root of both sides. The square root and the square will cancel each other, leaving us with 2x minus 3 equals square root of 9, which is 3. Just make sure that you add plus or minus to that constant when we take the square root of both sides. Now we can split this into two separate equations. 2x minus 3 equals positive 3, and 2x minus 3 equals negative 3. We'll start by looking at the left equation. Add 3 to both sides. 2x equals 6. And then divide by 2. X equals 3. The right equation, we also need to add 3 to both sides. 2x equals 0. Divide by 2. And we get x equals 0. So our answers are 3 and 0. In this example, notice that the squared quantity is not by itself. The first thing we need to do is subtract 4 on both sides. Negative x minus 4 squared equals negative 1. The squared part is still not by itself. Notice that negative on the outside. We need to divide by negative 1 on both sides. We now have x minus 4 squared equals 1. Now that we have isolated the squared part, we can square root both sides. We will get x minus 4 equals plus or minus the square root of 1, which is 1. We can now split this into two separate equations. X minus 4 equals positive 1, and x minus 4 equals negative 1. On the left equation, we'll add 4 to both sides, leaving us with x equals 5. The right equation, we will add 4 to both sides, and we get x equals 3. So our two answers are 5 and 3.